أهلا بكل الذين ينضموا للاستماع إلى راديو بلدي أول راديو عربي أمريكي ويعنى بقضايا العرب في المهجر. برامجنا في راديو بلدي كل يوم جمعة من 8 وحتى 9 صباحا مع ليلى الحسيني في بث حي ومباشر عبر WNZK راديو 690 AM. صباح الخير بلدي، صباح الخير لكل مستمعينا.
Welcome to Radio Baladi, the first Arab, Middle Eastern, and American simulcast radio show. Radio Baladi is broadcast every Friday morning on WNZK 690 AM from 8 until 9 Eastern Time on Good Morning Michigan with Layla Al-Husseini. Our call-in number 248-557-3300. And now, stay tuned for the best radio talk show on Arab and American issues with your host, Layla Al-Husseini.
And good morning, everyone. This is your host, Ali Yunus. I'm glad to be back on the show. This is a bright new day in Michigan, in the United States of America. We have an excellent show today because I have 2 and 3 excellent guests to talk about what's going on in the Arab world, what's going on in the Middle East. As everybody knows, the Middle East is up in flames. Not only Gaza is burning, but also Libya is burning. Iraq is burning. Syria is burning. You see, what happened in the Middle East? What happened in the Arab world? You see, Arab countries are breaking apart. Syria, half of Syria is gone under the control of terrorist groups, extremist groups of the Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant. Iraq is also, half of Iraq is gone. Gaza is under attack by the Israeli aggression once again. So it seems like every few years we have an attack in Gaza. The Palestinians, been struggling for a state for many, many years. We all know that. And Libya is fighting between Islamists and secularists and Algeria, Tunisia. It's all over the place. But I want to discuss all that. And with my 2 distinguished guests, Imam Muhammad Mardini and Imam Muhammad Elahi, 2 distinguished Islamic leaders and Islamic scholars in Michigan. And I also have a Palestinian later on in the show. I have a Palestinian from Gaza, Dr. Fatih Al-Natur, who will give us an update on that. I want to also discuss, touch upon why the community, why we have a Shia-Sunni struggle. For the Western world, you see Shia and Sunni killing each other. You see extremist groups on both sides vie to eliminate the other. Are we as a culture, as Arab, as Muslims, are we intolerant? Are we extremist? Is this something have to do with culture? Is this something have to do with religion? With that, I want to welcome my guest, Imam Muhammad Mardini, who will tell me about that. He'll tell us all about that. And Imam Muhammad Elahi, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, and good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for being on my show today, and I really am honored and I appreciate you coming to the show. So I want to start with Imam Mardini. Tell me, what do you think, Imam Mardini? Why we as a culture, or we as Muslims today, is this has to do with economic situation? Is this has to do with dictatorship? Is this lack of democracy, lack of freedom? Why are we bent on, you are a Shia, you're a Sunni, you're a Christian, you're a Muslim, you're a Jew? Why are we that way in our
First
society?
and foremost, I would like to greet you and greet your audience this morning on this first day of Friday, almost the last 10 days of Ramadan. As you know, Ramadan is a month of mercy, forgiveness, and freedom from the hellfire. And when I say mercy is not just only for yourself and your family and your neighbors, but for the entire world.
Yes, but we have no mercy
exactly.
in our world.
So for now, you see that, people are fighting, people are really, putting, as you say, more fight here and there, but you put it in a way of, explaining what's going on. But in reality, each country had its own really special features, if you want me to say that. In Palestine for 60 years, the fight over there is totally different. However, they really transgress far beyond all the laws of the international community, killing civilians, killing children, throwing rockets, doing this and doing that, and yet we don't hear anything from the international community. And what we are about right now is to see what's going on the ground.
But also we didn't hear anything from the Arab world. You know, Jordan is silent. King Abdullah yesterday said, okay, he said a couple of words. Egypt says nothing. Saudi Arabia says nothing. The Gulf is basically saying nothing except for Qatar, who just, bashfully saying, well, we want to ceasefire, but they support Hamas nevertheless. So not only the international community, but, unfortunately the Arab world is also silent. And it looks for the outsiders, to me, that there are some Arabs and there are some Muslims who are supporting Israel. What do you think?
I hear like you hear in the news, but if you are trying to analyze the situation at this time, first and foremost, internally, with our brothers in the Palestine, they are not agreeing with one another, but instead they are fighting one another. And lately you heard that they came to an agreement, and they came to an agreement to work together in really preparing their home. All of a sudden now we see Hamas start getting hit, and yet Abbas and his area is saying, well, we should stop the fighting, we should do this, and we should do that. And yet, on the other hand, Egypt, supposed to be,
supposed to be one of us.
Yep. Protecting of, the people of Palestine.
Right.
What they are doing is really embarrassing to the entire...
Okay, Imam Mardini, let me ask you this. The Arab world is divided, and the community in the U.S. is divided. I want to switch to Imam Ilahi to tell me, and I'll come back to you, Imam Mardini, forgive me for this, but I want to switch to Imam Ilahi to tell me about the community, where the community stands, because we are all deeply affected of what's going on in the Middle East, whether in Iran, whether in Syria, in Iraq, because Shia or Sunni or Christian or Muslims, the Christians of Iraq, they just got evicted. The Christians of Iraq in Mosul, they're there before even Muslims, before Iraq became a Muslim country, or the Arabs went to Iraq, the Chaldeans, the Assyrians. They're the native population. It is a scandal for us Muslims, and I am a Muslim, and I am ashamed, really, when I hear the news that Chaldeans and they are our brothers, they get evicted. But also Shia being slaughtered, Sunnis being slaughtered, everybody being slaughtered. Imam Ilahi, explain to me and to the viewers, why are we that way? What's going on in our countries?
Well, first of all, as far as Gaza is concerned, I see the community here, Muslim community in the United States, all are united against this injustice that is going on in Gaza at this time. A very clear case of war crimes and inhumanity, this blind bombardment of even the babies, putting 1.8 million people in a kind of concentration camp and bombing them from every direction, the air, the sea, the land, and then tell them that, leave. And they have no place to live. The only hope was the United Nations shelters in Gaza. And yesterday, they targeted even the school.
Right.
The shelter under United Nations. So this crazy crime against humanity is uniting not even Muslim community, but I think any human being with any level of dignity and consciousness.
Okay. Imam Elahi, I will come back to Gaza, but I would like you to tell me what, the community reaction to that Sunni Shia slaughtered, and is there any Muslim protest or statements against what happened to the brothers in the Christian community in Iraq? Because really that's an indication of where we're going. If we kill Christians, tomorrow we'll kill all the Shiites, or the Shiites kill all the Sunnis, and we kill, all other minority groups, especially in Iraq or Syria. Why? What's going on in our world today?
I agree, and I think we as Muslims, like any other community, should be honest about situations and stay away from hypocrisy and double standards. As we stand against oppression, occupation, and injustice in Palestine and Gaza, we should do the same thing in Syria, in Iraq, in Libya, in Afghanistan.
But do you think, Imam Elahi, do you think what's going on in Syria is a great injustice? Is it from the regime against the population or extremist groups? How do you see things in Syria, for example?
My personal opinion is that in Syria there is a big international conspiracy. There are almost 80 different nationalities that they are fighting in Syria.
To remove the Bashar al-Assad regime?
Sorry?
To destroy Syria and remove Bashar al-Assad regime?
Yeah,
is that a conspiracy?
I'm not very familiar with the details of the government in Syria, but I see the other Arab regimes like Saudi Arabia, Emirates, others, that they are zero democracy. I mean, in Saudi Arabia, a woman even cannot drive a car, and there's no respect for human rights.
Yeah, but Imam Elahi, what happened in Syria has nothing to do with Saudi Arabia politics inside their country. Although you all disagree with their policies, but for 40 years, Bashar al-Assad regime, and before him, his father, Syria is an underdeveloped country. It's a backward country. They have their economy. There are 25 million people in Syria, and their economy is less than, a little bit better than Lebanon, a country of 5 or 6 million people. So the al-Assad regimes, the family of al-Assad regime, and I'm saying that not just to pick on them, but the rest of the Arab countries are no better than Syria, but just because we are talking about Syria, the quality of life before even this war was so bad. Syria is an underdeveloped, is a backward country. So is Saudi Arabia, of course, for that matter, and UAE, of course. So, but don't you think that Syrian people deserve to be governed by a government of their choice, whether they choose Bashar al-Assad, which is fine, but he has a duty to develop his country, to develop the education,
I'm not defending any government, including Bashar al-Assad's government, but I'm talking about the nature of opposition. Of course, whatever the Syrian people want, that's it. We should support anything that the Syrian people want.
If they have a free choice.
In democratic way, but for some so-called jihadis to get together from other countries and slaughtering people and bringing that much backwardness and barbarism, that has nothing to do with democracy. I mean, if it was up to me, obviously I prefer dictatorship of Bashar Assad compared to al-Baghdadi and other criminals.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I mean, a lot of people have come to that. But I'm going to take a break. I have a minute. It's 14 now. At 8:15, I'm going to take a break. But let me ask Imam Mardini. Imam Mardini, we're on the subject in 1 minute before I go to break, and I'll come back to you. Do you prefer dictatorship over the extremist groups, the terrorist groups, the ISIS or ISIL or Al-Nusra Front, or all these, crazy fanatics, really. Where do these guys come from?
The question is preferring justice, not preferring a regime that really has a resume of really bloodshed. It's not just only in Syria, and also in Lebanon when they were there, and also you are not talking about the other terrorists who's killing people just for killing, but you have to see the reasons why these people came to that position. And what happened? I mean, if you're talking about Baghdadi and what happened, I mean, look, United States were there for more than 10 years, and they did not control everything.
Right.
Baghdadi to come in 3 weeks and occupy the whole Iraq.
Yeah.
I mean,
Imam Mardini, I'm sorry, I want to cut you off because I'm going to take a break, but you're right. I mean, what Imam Elahi is saying, that he preferred dictatorship, he means, what I see the situation is that I think that the Arab people, given the amount of chaos, the slaughter, whether for Christians or Muslims or everybody else's, they prefer stability. Dictatorship, dictator regimes.
I don't think Imam Elahi preferred dictatorship, but he preferred the situation at the time. There's no killing, no bloodshed, nothing.
I mean, for me, Bashar al-Assad or anybody who rules in that matter, anybody in Arab world who is not ruling by, if I don't have a choice, if I don't choose, if he sticks in power for 40 years or 30 years, and after him his son, and after him his son, and my son will have to obey all that. We have no choice. We have no health care. We have no jobs. We have no life. I can't travel. Obviously, that's a dictatorship. But, I'm sorry. But I'm going to take a break for now, and once we come back, I will continue the discussion with my two distinguished guests. Our phone number here is 248-557-3300. Please call us and tell me what do you think about this situation in Gaza or in Iraq, in Syria, and Libya. If you are listening, please give us a call. I have two distinguished guests from Michigan, Imam Muhammad Mardini and Imam Muhammad Elahi. Let's take a break for now.
Ziyad brand. Quality products from our family to yours. Ziyad Brothers Importing offers the finest quality products, including brands like Sultan, Kraft, Nestle, Hook, Rico Picon, Donna, and many more. Ask your retailer to carry these fine products because you deserve the very best. For more information, visit our website at www.ziyad.com. That's www.ziyad.com. Ziyad, quality products from our family to yours.
Betsy's Bridal and Formal, Michigan's largest selection of special occasion dresses. Exclusive bridal and cocktail fashions for formal engagements, proms, showers, pageants, mother of the bride and groom, and full bridal wear. Sizes 6 through 30. Betsy's has over 33 years in the bridal business. We promise you the best quality service and alterations. Betsy's Bridal and Formal is located at 6189 Haggerty Road in West Bloomfield. Call 248-669-9999. That's 248-669-9999.
And we'll come back to the show. This is Ali Yunus, and I am your host. My number here is 248-557-3300. On the show with two distinguished Muslim leaders in Michigan and in Detroit area community, Imam Muhammad Mardini and Imam Muhammad Elahi. I'm sure everybody knows. I don't need to explain their resumes or their bios to everybody in the community there. In a discussion, I was talking to them about what's going on in our community. Do we support dictatorship? Do we support the killing and the expelling of Christians in Mosul? Do we support the Israelis over the Palestinians in Gaza, or we support Gazans? It's a lot of chaos. It's a lot of confusion. You see in Egypt, people supporting Israel. I mean, is this one of the signs of the Judgment Day? I'm not sure, because it's really mind-boggling to see what's going on in our communities here in the United States and in the Arab world. Imam Mardini, before the break, you were talking about continue. I cut you off, but your argument were discussing the dictatorship and discussing why the community is preferring stability over, the extreme hardship that they suffer under the control of terrorists. I call them terrorists. They are terrorist groups, although they have the garb of Islam. But I am a Muslim, and I don't think they represent Islam. For sure, not mainstream Islam. So go ahead, Imam Ardini.
Thank you. First and foremost, if you want to put the entire issues in its perspective, it is a battle of injustice. And as I said, it's not to generalize. Each country had its reason, whether in Syria or in Iraq or in Libya or in Tunisia or in Egypt. There is no justice. And if you put it, clear in plain words, if you have no, support as individual, you cannot go to school. You cannot go to school. In Syria, no one will leave the country without the approval of the government. So they live in a big prison, sort of. In Libya, the same thing. The dictator was telling people that they are rats. And in Egypt, they revolted and they have...
Imam Ardini, I want to ask you, I want to bring this issue home, okay? Arabs and Muslims in this country, they have choices. They are free. They could choose. They could vote. They could go to whatever school they want. They could get a health care. They could have a job. They could make money or not make money. They have choices.
Yes.
Where does the community stand? Why I see, for example, a Palestinian kid from Florida volunteered to go to al-Nusra and allegedly, I'm not sure, I haven't seen him, but blew himself up for quote-unquote jihad against, infidel of the Syrian regime. And we hear, and in a lot of cases in Somalia, the Somali community in Minnesota, they volunteered to go and fight for Al-Shabaab, which is a terrorist group, legally speaking, under the U.S. laws. Why? Where is the community? I know in Michigan, the Shia and Sunni and Muslims. Is the community there divided along sectarian lines? I want to take this question to Imam Elahi to explain to me and to the viewers where the community stands and all that.
Yeah. In general, what you mentioned about, some Muslims may join the terrorist groups in Syria, in Iraq, in Afghanistan, or some converts and so on and so forth, is a combination of politics now in the Middle East and also extremism and ignorance. When you have one side politics that, it's about money, it's about power, it's about domination on one side, and then on the other side you have ignorance and at the same time poverty of people and the youth, and then extremism, and then you have certain fatwas. When you put all of these elements together, you see the hell. Because
so you're right. It's ignorance because in the Sunni Islam, unlike Shia branch of Islam, Sunni Islam, fatwa is just a marketplace. Anybody could issue a fatwa who says, well, I am a leader, I am a sheikh, I could issue a fatwa. So it's just a whole marketplace of fatwas. Fatwa is a responsa. It's illegal, but
for example, in fatwa in the Shia school of thought, yesterday was a meeting in Najaf between Secretary General of United Nations, Dr. Moon, and Ayatollah Sistani, and then Dr. Moon said that, he is a man of deepest wisdom and tolerance. He is an inspiration and a role model.
Yeah, I read that statement yesterday from Ban Ki-moon office about his meeting with Imam Sistani.
We need this kind of leadership that is about unity of the Muslims, whether you are Shia, whether you are Sunni.
But Imam Elahi, let me just say one word before I go to Imam Ardini to comment on this and to respond to that. But Imam Ali Sistani, who is the Marja'iyya, he's the highest leadership in the Shia, one of the highest, grand Ayatollah Ali Sistani in the Shia world among the Muslim community. But he also he called for Iraqi volunteers to go and support the Iraqi army and support, basically al-Maliki to fight against terrorists. In other words, many people argue and charge him. He did not say a word when the Americans invaded Iraq.
The chaos.
Okay?
No,
he did not say a word when the Americans invaded Iraq, occupied it, and destroyed it. Yet, when it comes to al-Maliki and the Shia rule, and that's everybody argues that, the Shia rule, he stepped in and said, well, we need to defend the government, we need to defend, Nouri al-Maliki, and hundreds of thousands of Iraqi Shiites, Asaib Ahl al-Haq, Al-Sadr Brigade, all these under sectarian rule. So, to me, for an outside observer, this is quite problematic. I want to respond on that, Imam Ilahi on that, but I want to get Imam Mardini on that.
Ayatollah Sistani, he was not talking about the government of Maliki. He is talking about the sovereignty of Iraq and unity of Iraq and controlling chaos. He said that, saying that people are so angry and hurt with this so-called...
But why was he quiet when the American invaded Iraq? Sovereignty Iraq was destroyed. Iraq got occupied. There was no sovereignty. American has occupied it. I know he comes from the quietest tradition, but he did not say a word. I'm a newsman. I follow all these. I'm a Middle East guy, so I know. I follow all these details for many, many, many years, and I take notes that there's a contradiction right there.
Are you talking about
while Iraqi, Maliki, we know he's a sectarian because we know the international human rights organizations, they just charge him. He killed Sunni prisoners in the north on his way, and that's a war crime. So we know, as a matter of fact, not a matter of allegation, that the current government of Iraq is not patriotic government because Sunnis also being marginalized because they are Sunnis, and maybe because they are Ba'athists, but I don't see al-Maliki as a patriotic, trying to force. I am an Iraqi, whether I am a Shia or a Sunni, Zaydist or Christian. I am an Iraqi first and foremost, regardless of my skin color, regardless of my religious affiliation. I don't see that. He rules by hey, this is Shia country. Now, I think the history started for this current government in Iraq from Saqifat Bani Saida, when the Muslim community chose Abu Bakr and Ali's group chose rebelled against it. We don't want that. Okay? And we are in the 21st century. History is history. We could teach that in our mosques. We could teach that in our hausa. We could teach that in the history departments. But, I can't live my life because I hate Muawiyah or I hate Ali. Or I can't live my life like that. I'm a modern man. I'm a modern Muslim. I speak different language than Abu Bakr spoke 1,400 years ago, or Ali spoke, or Prophet Muhammad, upon him peace, spoke 1,400 years ago. I'm a different person. We are a different community. Communities are not static. Communities change. We all evolving. We evolve. Iran is evolved. Okay? So Imam Mardini, I don't want to lecture. I apologize, and I'm a student of you guys. Imam Mardini, give me your take on what's going on in the Muslim community in Michigan.
Sorry, Ali, we do have a caller. He's been waiting patiently, and our other guest will join us soon.
Okay. Let's take a call and switch to Imam Mardini. Thank you, Layla.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yes, brother. I just want to tell you something. Nobody can answer your question because we have different belief. The Shia has different between belief Allah and Quran and Muhammad and Ahl al-Bayt. We believe in Khulafa. This
okay.
is what
what's your name?
Nobody can. Huh?
What's your name? Your name.
Father.
What's your name?
Father.
Okay. Father, okay. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. But personally, I don't think we have different beliefs than Shia.
No, brother. Don't. We have a different belief. Go for anywhere. Go any mosque. Go any.
Yeah, that's not
go.
beliefs.
No,
okay, thank you so much. But it's not a belief. We have different understandings.
Brother,
look, the divide, Shia-Sunni divide, was about politics. Who should rule? And then evolved. But I don't think Shia is different. They believe in Allah, they believe in the Prophet.
You have very good
they believe who?
You not understand?
I'm sorry?
You have very good education. You are speaking English very good. You read. You finish school. You don't believe we have different belief? We have different belief, brother. People,
Okay.
Shia is belief.
Let Imam Mardini explain that to us, and I thank you so much.
Imam cannot answer your
I want
question.
to get to the guest to explain that to us, to me, and to you, to everybody else. We have two distinguished scholars, Muslim scholars, and I think they have an opinion on that. Do we have different beliefs, Imam Mardini? And I will ask the same question to Imam Elahi. Do we have different beliefs? Are we different religions? Are we different sects? What are we?
Not at all. Not at all.
Imam Mardini is Sunni, by the way, and Imam Elahi is Shia.
It's not Sunni Shia. We all Muslims.
Well, yeah, because I want to get two different the opinions of both groups.
The issue at hand, when you're talking about religion, the religion came as Islam, has no Sunni, no Shia. The Prophet, peace be upon him, is no Sunni, no Shia. The Prophet, peace be upon him, brought the message to improve the human practices, the human dignity, to stand all together to defend, what was going on in the ignorance time. Now, if you choose the school of thought based on the interpretation of the explanation and what the people really go through, I mean, you see democracy came from nowhere. Democracy came from the practices of shura, of consultation. And at the time of the Prophet, peace be upon him, he even fought because he's bringing a method to implement justice.
In your opinion, as a scholar, there's no difference between Shia and Sunni and it's different schools. It's a school of law.
Exactly.
Fiqh Islami.
That's what it is. If you choose one upon another, at the end, what is the result of all these practices? To spread peace and justice and equality and mercy to all, support all humanity. If you, look at the verses of the Holy Quran, it's totally explicit in explaining the duty is to be loyal to God.
Okay. Thank you, Imam Mardini. I want to take a break now because I'm 2 minutes late and I'm break. And I will come back to Imam Elahi and ask him, is there a difference between Shia and Sunni? Or are we different religions? Or are we different understandings or different school of thought or a school of law? Let's take a break for now and I'll come back to my guests, Imam Muhammad Elahi, a distinguished Muslim scholar and teacher in Michigan, and Imam Muhammad Mardini, another distinguished scholar. Two different school of thoughts right here, bringing you the community in Michigan. My number here is 824-857-3300. I'm taking a break.
If you get into a car accident, how will you pick up the pieces when you can't work, when the bills pile up? Who will help you? Call 866-YOUR-RIGHTS.
I called Jumana. She took care of everything. My medical bill, lost wages, and even a large settlement.
I am Jumana Kiruz, and I assure you that my team will not stop until you get the most for your rights.
If you've been in a car accident, call Jumana. 866-YOUR-RIGHTS.
مؤسسة الحياة للإغاثة والتنمية في مدينة ساوثفيلد في ولاية ميشيغان، المؤسسة الرائدة في العمل الإغاثي والإنساني. مؤسسة الحياة ومنذ 20 سنة تقدم العون للفقراء والمحتاجين والمتضررين بسبب الكوارث الطبيعية أو الحروب في شتى أنحاء العالم. كما تقوم مؤسسة الحياة بكفالة الأيتام والعوائل الفقيرة وحفر آبار المياه في مناطق الحاجة، وأيضا تقوم مؤسسة الحياة بتزويد المشافي والمستوصفات الصحية بالأدوية والمعدات الطبية وإنشاء مدارس وعيادات طبية في أقطار عديدة من العالم. ومؤسسة الحياة مرخصة للعمل في الولايات المتحدة الأمريكية وجميع التبرعات معافاة من الضرائب. اتصلوا بمؤسسة الحياة للإغاثة والتنمية على رقم الهاتف المجاني 1-800-827-3543 أو زوروا موقعهم الإلكتروني على www.lifeusa.org.
Okay, welcome back. Welcome back to Radio Baladi. This is Ali Yunus, your host. And before the break, I was talking about the Muslim and Shia community. Are we different? Imam Elahi, I want you in 1 minute because I have Dr. Fatha Natur from Gaza who want to brief us, and then we could comment on that. to brief us on the situation in Gaza. And I don't want to hold him on line for too long, and I apologize, Dr. Fathi, on that. But I want to, because I don't want to lose the argument right here. Imam Elahi, in brief, are we different religions?
Regarding that, brother was saying, no, we are not different religions. It's not about sectarians. If the problem in Iraq was about Shia and Sunni, what about Libya? What about Egypt? They are not Shia and Sunni. Still, as
Sunni and Sunni.
Big mess. There is a big mess there, and it has nothing to do with Shia and Sunni. Unfortunately, there are some extremists who propagate that, and that brother was...
And both sides are extremists in Shia as well, and not only just the Sunnis,
of course.
To be fair.
When he was saying that, well, we have different beliefs, unfortunately, there are some extremists that they promote that, but in reality, we all believe in one God. There is one Prophet Muhammad. There is one Quran, one Qibla. We all pray. We all fast. We all go to Hajj. We have celebrating these similarities for centuries and centuries. We have some, disagreement about the Khilafah situation, but even...
It's a political situation,
nevertheless.
It's Khilafah, it's politics.
Agreement, I mean, even in Americans, Europeans, they have different schools of thought, different religions.
You're right. So I'm going to put this question to rest. We are all one people, one religion.
They have differences.
They're just like Christians. They believe, with different variations about, the nature of Jesus Christ, whether he's divine or not divine or whatever. So I'm going to go to Dr. Fatah Natur. Dr. Fatah, I apologize for keeping you on hold. I know you call from Gaza, and I thank you for being on my show. Please tell us what's going on in Gaza, the latest death toll in Gaza. And I see Dr. Ashraf Al-Qidr is a spokesman for the Gaza Health Ministry, for the Palestinian Health Ministry. Now the death toll has reached over 850, and over 5,000 Palestinians were injured because of the Israeli bombardment, savage bombardment of the civilians in Gaza. Dr. Fateh, go ahead. Tell us what happened in Gaza. How the people are holding up? Are they high morales in Gaza? Are they holding up? Are they resisting? What's going on?
Really, in Gaza, you cannot say only thank God, because this is specialized for that. Israeli killed everything move at the land. Israeli don't care for anything. Israeli really don't understand what we needed. If we needed the security not come for killed kids, women, people. Really, all Palestinians refuse this way for searching for peace or security. But the problem also for the world. The world really not care about the blood of Palestinians. We don't know what happened in the world, what happened for the humanity in the world. United States really now
the latest
Israeli. United Nations also see only in one eye. What happened in the humanity in the world?
That's a legitimate. Dr. Fathi, that's a legitimate question, because Mr. Ban Ki-moon, they all express, Kerry, even Egypt, you can see Egyptian media, they're expressing solidarity with the Israelis, and they always say, well, Hamas this and Hamas that. But, people are, so far, 828 people got killed, over 100 of them children, 5,300 were injured, and Ismail Haniyeh said the other day in his speech that over 1,000 Palestinian homes were completely destroyed, and 15,000 were partially destroyed. So I'm talking about a total, a huge damage. And when we're talking about 800 people of 1.8 million people, if you have 20 million people and you have to multiply that, we have 8,000. So statistically speaking, so the huge damage. And I'm not talking about the trauma. I'm not talking about the psychological damage. And I think 1.8 million people, they need treatment from this savagery and this bombardment of Gaza. But let me ask you, Dr. Fathi, because I cover Gaza and I write on Gaza. Is there electricity there? Is there water? How do you guys live under all this?
No life, no electricity, no water, no. You know what's the especially hot now for 35 XP now. It's very hot. All people in the street, all people under the sun. It's crazy. Crazy.
Well, I want to ask
how the people live
Imam
now.
Elahi and Mardini. I talked to Jamal Dardasawi the other day. He's from Gaza Electrical Power, and he told me that Gaza, before the invasion, had 200 megawatt to serve all of Gaza, and that were 8 hours ration, 8 hours on, 8 hours off. Now they only have 2 hours on, 2 hours, and 22 hours off. In some areas in Gaza, they have 38 hours or 48 hours no power at all, which means no water. It's hot summer days in Gaza, so I can understand the situation there. Imam Mardini, how can we help people of Gaza? How can we help the people of Gaza as a community here in the United States? What do you think?
We can help them tremendously by writing to our administration at this time and bring it to their attention and say to them that...
Yeah, Fathi, can you hold on 1 second, Fathi? I want to see what Imam Mardini say about how can we help the people in Gaza.
Okay.
Go ahead, Imam Mardini.
No problem. I said we can and we will. We can write to all our representatives at the Congress and send a letter directly to our president, who is the only one in the entire world spoke to stop the aggression against the people of Gaza.
So we should write, we should be proactive, write to our members of Congress, write to the president, and maybe perhaps collect donations to medicine, medical supplies, clothing to the children of Gaza.
As a community, we have an obligation in the month of Ramadan to extend all of our help and needed help, because this is a month that's obliged to take care of needy and those that are in tragedy, such as Gaza, to extend to them all the needs, which is medical, food, help, and also to write some letters to the Muslim world leaders to bring it to their home front, because this atrocity,
so far Egypt has closed the Rafah border and they prevented 8 convoys from going into Gaza. Shame on them. Imam Elahi, what can we do?
Yes. Well, first of all, at the Islamic House of Wisdom, and I agree with what Imam Mardini said, we have been during the month of Ramadan, the last 2 weeks, praying for people of Gaza and talking about this situation. I wrote an article to Detroit News yesterday. I don't see it in the paper today. Probably it was late. Probably they're going to publish it tomorrow. But we have to do a variety of things. You mentioned the donation, maybe through United Nations, because they are the only one that they have access to people in Gaza. But the point is that the Israelis, this blockade, they stop in this camp that you have no access to people. But we have to bring so much education, so much public awareness, write letters, statements, participating in marching and demonstration, using the media, any kind of outreach, any kind of interfaith, standing on together against this oppression, occupation, and injustice, and let the world know that it is absolute injustice. It's not acceptable.
It's unacceptable. What we see, the killing of children who are, Israel will say, we will investigate. Okay, there were some, under international law, even if someone put missiles in a school, under international law, Israel or any country in the world are not supposed to hit that school because it jeopardized the civilian's life. Although the other party, if Hamas or whoever put that, it's a violation, of course, but no one should bomb a school or a hospital just because a militant happens to be there or a fighter happens to be there. Fathi, I know people of Gaza are angry at the world, but how are they holding up? How do they feel? Are they cracking under the pressure? Because Israel policy, it seems like, to pressure Hamas by killing more civilians and destroy more civilians. How do they feel?
I feel that no one now with all Palestinian, only the God, he care. This is the month Ramadan. This month must be more people work together, feel together, for safety, for helping, for humanity, for everything. What happened?
Do the people of Gaza have a high spirit? Are they supporting? Let me ask you في العربي. كيف معنويات the people of Gaza?
I will answer in Arabic also, if you can, okay?
Go ahead. I'll translate that.
Yeah. المعنويات في غزة للأطفال والنساء والرجال أعلى من المعنويات في الأمة العربية جميعها. غزة تمنح القوة والكبرياء والكرامة والأخلاق والبطولة والنضال الآن في غزة. غزة تطمئن على الأمة العربية، تطمئن على ما يحدث في سوريا، على ما يحدث في العراق، على ما يحدث في مصر. اليوم غزة هي البطولة وهي النضال.
So Gaza, and you're saying that Gaza is really is the one who on the front line on behalf, because people of Gaza, what you are saying is fighting the right enemy, whereas in Syria we fight each other, we kill each other. But in Gaza, the people fighting the right enemy, who is having them under siege for 8 years, preventing them from leaving, preventing them from go to school, live a normal life. So on behalf of the entire Arab world and the Muslim world, this is the right direction in which all efforts should be directed on, having peace. I don't think any Palestinian want to destroy or kill Jews or kill innocent civilians, either side, really, Christian or Jewish. It doesn't matter. But I think the people of Gaza are entitled to live a peaceful, normal life. I can't imagine. I want to go to Gaza, hopefully this year, and check for myself and see how people living there. Imam Mardini, what do you say of what he said? Is Gaza fighting on the right fight on behalf of the Arab world and the Muslim world? Is this the right fight? And I'm talking not just necessarily militarily, but the struggle should be to achieve justice for the Palestinians. Not necessarily has to be by killing and bombardment, but maybe through peaceful means as well.
It's long overdue. The fight for justice, the fight for the people of Gaza, the fight for the people of Palestine, to encourage all people to live in peace and have the basic human rights, instead of just using all the sophisticated weapons from the international community supporting Israel to go against the people that they have nothing. And at this time, we as a community really proud of our people for being patient and being also waiting for those they have the merciful heart to come about and to come to the front and talk to the peoples of decision. Now, this political aggression, and this is
and military aggression, not just
and military aggression. This is I'm talking about the military aggression by the Israelis, but the political aggression among the Arab leaders who did not have a stand to support these people. And these people are really the Jew in the Arab world, that they needed all the support, and they needed also not just only talk and
it's ironic because Hezbollah basically said nothing. Sayyid Hassan Nasrallah said last week, he just said a statement after the Hamas captured an Israeli soldier. He said, he congratulated Mr. Ramadan Shallah, leader of Al-Jihad, and Khalid Mashal, leader of Hamas. But basically, Hezbollah stayed out of it. He did not say anything. Although, today is, I think, Jerusalem Day. It's Yawm al-Quds. I think Hassan Nasrallah will have a statement or a speech commemorating Yawm al-Quds. Unfortunately, Jerusalem been attacked today, and no one is saying anything. And Syria, Bashar al-Assad did not say a word. He actually criticized the Hamas because of Hamas' political position, did not support the Syrian regime. And Saudi Arabia, they all say words and words and words, but the Egyptian regime, in particular, actually went out of its way to control the borders and prevent any medical supplies or aid, contrary to the Egyptian people, to the good people of Egypt wishes, because the people of Egypt support the Palestinians. And really the issue is not about Hamas. The issue is about the Palestinians, the people of Gaza, the children, the women, the elderly, the people who want to live a normal life. It's not about Hamas' political objectives, which is, what Egypt is trying to undermine and try to control. Imam Elahi,
yes.
Give me your take on, for example, why I see silence, not only from the Sunni world, Saudi Arabia, UAE, Morocco, Algeria. I know the people are voicing, but I see, few words from Iran. I see Hezbollah has said nothing. practically said nothing. I saw no statement. I didn't see all the fiery speeches of Hassan Nasrallah, because I know his style. He has said nothing about his, mortal enemy, Israel. They want to kill him. They fought, they bombarded Lebanon, and they are enemy of Hezbollah, but he stayed out of it, basically. Why is that, Imam Elahi?
The moment that we are talking, there are millions and millions and millions of people on the streets of Tehran and other cities of Iran and in Lebanon that they are participating in a demonstration against Israel and supporting people on Gaza.
Yeah, but the government are not saying anything. There are the feelings of the people of Lebanon, Shia or Sunni, the peoples of Iran, Shia or Sunni or whatever ethnic background. I'm sure with the people of Gaza because they are victims. But the government of Iran, said little compared to Turkey, for example, very outspoken against Israel. But Iran, it just sort of stayed on the sideline of this.
Hello? Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Ali?
Yes, I hear you.
Yeah, the point is that you can ask the people of Gaza that who is standing for them and who is standing against them, and the answer, that's the true answer. And at the same time, this is the moment of truth and honesty and dishonesty. For people like in regime in Saudi Arabia that they are crying for, the Sunnis are madloom in Iraq and they are spending millions and billions of dollars. Aren't the people of Gaza Sunni as well? I mean, come on. This hypocrisy, this dirty diplomacy that's going on. So the people of Gaza are victims of this hypocrisy and nifaq that's going on in the Muslim world. And we know in reality who is supporting the people of Gaza and who is not supporting them. It's very, very clear. And I agree with you, Ali, that the problem is not, Hamas. The Israelis been attacking the Palestinians when Hamas did not even exist from 1948, that there was no rocket and people used to have just stone. So it's not about, rockets and, tunnels, nothing. These are just excuses. And it is about justice and injustice. Israelis are looking for more domination, more power, more oppression, more occupation, and they are not interested in peace. When Hamas outreached to Palestinian authorities and they were talking about a unity government, Netanyahu stood against it and said, you cannot do that because they think, farriq tasso, divide and rule. And they said that no, we don't want to have dialogue with Hamas, and we don't want even the Palestinian Authority to have dialogue with Hamas. Why they say so? Because they are not interested in the business of peace, because if it is peace and diplomacy, Israelis would lose. They think the only chance they have to win is just to have more war, more military, but that is what, Albert Einstein says, the defining insanity, saying doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. They have been doing this dirty business many, many times.
Yeah. Imam Mardini, and give me in a couple of minutes, your take on, is the Arab world failing Gaza? As you see, Saudi Arabia basically said nothing. They empower, Egypt is in power, and they try to, have Hamas and Gaza being bombarded until they submit, and say, well, please help us and get rid of Hamas. Why is that, Imam Mardini, and what do you think of it?
You are a smart journalist, and in the political arena, when it is really having international and national and international power, that the country, especially Egypt, been destabilized by all the turmoil they have, and most of the people who took back the office, those are people that internationally work, and support Israel instead of really looking at supporting those that are oppressed and the aggression happen against them. And saying that, before you cut me off on what we could do, I would like to say, and adding one point that the Christian community and the Jewish community here in the United States standing tall against this aggression and also calling for humanitarian aid and helping the people and stop.
Do we have a caller online? Let's see if I have a caller. I think it dropped off. Go ahead, Imam Ardini. Sorry to cut you.
Hello?
Hello, yes.
Yes, I can hear you. Go ahead.
No problem. So what we're trying to say, the whole thing, there is a distinguish between what's happening in Gaza. And this fight is a fight for fight of the occupation, fight for the human, rights all over. But in terms of the turmoil in the Muslim world, Arab world, this is the people are fighting those dictators.
Is Fatih still with me?
Yes, I am with you.
Yeah, Fatih, I want you to speak in Arabic for the Muslim community in the United States. How can they help you, the people of Gaza? Say it in Arabic because most of our community understand Arabic. I want them to hear from you, from the people of Gaza. So far, 828 people got killed, slaughtered, and over 5,300. And we all see on TV, we all be affected emotionally by it. I want you to say it in Arabic. Give it the best shot you can, Fatih. Tell it to our community in Michigan and around the U.S. How can we help?
حقيقة لابد أن أذكر أن اليوم القضية غزة كشفت للعالم العربي.
And I have a couple of minutes, 3 minutes, Fatih. Go ahead.
Okay. على مدار 60 سنة العرب يتغنون أن فلسطين هي المشكلة ولكن اليوم مشكلة غزة كشفت أن المشكلة هي في العرب ليسوا مع فلسطين. لذلك المطلوب الآن من أخوتنا العرب وكل الضمائر الحية في أمريكا وفي أوروبا وفي العالم أن تقف مع فلسطين وطفولة فلسطين من خلال غزة بالدعم المعنوي والمواقف الحقيقية. المال والكلام لا ينفع. نريد أن مواقف حقيقية حتى نوقف هذه المجازر التي تحاك ضد أبناء الشعب الفلسطيني على مدار 66 عام. نحن نريد مواقف حقيقية وليس نريد بيع كلام.
The people in the community in the United States, Palestinians, Lebanese, Iranians, Pakistanis, Afghanis, how can we help? You said you want real positions because, some of the Muslim community who listen to us, they don't understand Arabic. But you said you want real positions from the Arab world. You don't want money. You don't want just rhetoric or words. You want real people standing with you in Gaza. What do you want from our community? How can we help?
He can help directly with يعني بإمكانهم يتبنوا الأطفال الشهداء والنساء الذين فقدوا بيوتهم مباشرة من خلال التواصل المباشر مع عائلاتهم وأصحابهم مباشرة. البنوك موجودة بإمكان كل عائلة تتبنى طفل شهيد أو أسرة ولا ترسل الأموال إلى مؤسسات لأننا لا نثق في المؤسسات.
Okay, so for the Muslim community, people who listen to us, or not necessarily Muslim community, for those who are interested, what he's saying, you could support the people of Gaza by adopting. What I mean, not adopting, but taking over or taking home a child, but supporting a child, a victim, or his family who are affected, because you see entire families were obliterated, were annihilated by the bombing. But in some cases, you kill 6 members of the family. There's a German Palestinian family. All 6, the whole 8 people of the family got killed.
Ali, we do have
husband, wife, and 5 children.
To wrap up the
but if you have a child, you can support that child directly. If you have a girl, you can support that girl directly or her family. I mean, this is really a humanitarian disaster on a large scale. Imam Ardini and Imam Ilahi, I got 2 minutes, 1 minute each. Is that feasible by our community? Can we, let's say, a child who lost his parents, his brothers, can I, as a Muslim or as an Arab, help that child directly? Can we do that?
Yes, we can. Yes, we can through many means. And you have so many families from Gaza.
I'm sorry, we don't have 2 minutes. As a matter of fact, we need to finish right now. 20 seconds.
Okay, we're wrapping up? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. With that, but thank you so much. I'm sure Imam Elahi is saying also we can. Yes, we can. We can do it. We can help the people of Gaza. We can help the people of Gaza by being united. Thank you so much, Imam Elahi and Imam Ardini, for being with us today. And God bless you. And have a nice Friday. And I hope you have a good holiday with the Eid and your thoughts with the people of Gaza and your prayers for the people of Gaza. Thank you so much.
Well.